As promised, live on Lake of the Woods right now, and we've made a move. I had to move in a little bit closer to shore just to get service to do this live, but there is a good bite on Lake of the Woods. The trick right now to Lake of the Woods is get away from the people. Fish structure or flats around structure that aren't near people. If you get away from the people, you will catch fish. Those congested spots are starting to slow down a little bit. It's getting a little bit tough. A lot of smaller fish down there you got to pick through. To combat that, I've upsized my baits. I'm using a whole minnow. I took my frosty spoon, which I always use as my dead stick. I took that off. I'm using a rattling quiver for my dead stick right now, just to get those bigger fish and kind of weed out those smaller fish. I'm using rattle baits. Rattle baits are great in this basin like we're fishing because they're calling in these fish as they swim by, you know, calling them in from 10, 15, even on here 20 feet away. You can see these fish coming in. You should see here in a minute. But rattle baits are the key. And so this video I'm going to play for you right now, it's talking about rattle baits basically. Every rattle bait has a different rattle to it, and that's what we're talking about. Got a fish down there right now. Oh, swam away. Super lethargic. But as the day goes on, we kind of pick through them, one here, one there. But so it is a pretty decent bite. You can easily get a limit by the end of the day generally. I'm going to be giving some stuff away this live like usual. I am going to give away some, I don't know, what do you guys want, glow spoons? Since I'm fishing a glow spoon right now, a pink glow spoon, I'll give away some glow spoons. So if you want a glow spoon, go ahead and comment, and I will, I'll pick a bunch of guys out of the comments after the live, and I'll message you, and I will send out a bunch of glow spoons. So go ahead, throw some questions, throw some comments on there, and we'll send you out some glow spoons. That being said, I'm going to play, while I fish, I'm going to play this video for you. Check it out, just talking about some different type of rattle baits. And then we'll do a little fish and answer some questions after. Here we go. Man, there's fish down there. See which one they're going to take here. One of them. There we go. Took the quiver spoon. All right. Now, so you see what I was doing right there? Fish everywhere. Nice eye. I was jigging two at once. I had a rattle and flyer on one. That's a nice eater right there. I had a rattle and flyer on one, and I have the rattling quiver spoon on the other. So what I was doing is jigging both of them, I'm trying to figure out what sound these walleyes are looking for. So basically, I'm putting the rattling quiver spoon right next to the rattling flyer, and today, for some reason, they seem to be preferring the rattle of the rattling quiver spoon. He's coming home with us, that guy. So basically, when you're looking at rattle baits, you want to take a look at each rattle bait, and you want to kind of try them all, because just because a fish is not eating one rattle bait, it doesn't mean that they won't eat on a glow spoon or they won't eat a glow streak, because each bait has a specific sound to it. There's no baits that sound the same. So basically, like for instance, the glow streak, it's got a big slug in it, got a real low thumpy rattle to it. And then you go to something like the rattle and flyer, and it's kind of more of a metal on metal, kind of more of a tinsely sound to it. So I would recommend that if one rattle bait doesn't work, don't just scrap the rattle bait thing. Try a few different rattle baits and find the one that works great for your situation, especially with what I'm doing here. It's right before dark. These walleyes are moving up to feed. We're in shallow water. I'm using this rattle bait to call these things in as they're cruising by on this flat. Super effective technique. It's something you got to try. All right, guys, there you have it. I will get this set up again. There we go. All right, we'll sit here and do a little fishing, see if we can get one. Of course, every time I turn these cameras on, the fish don't swim by, but I think we will get one here shortly. I've been picking them up here and there all day. Like I said, the spot we were fishing earlier was way further out in the lake, way less people, but there was zero service. So I moved in to do this. Basically, we're structure fishing. Let's talk about location. The spot that I'm fishing right now this is the type of spot in Lake of the Woods I fish a ton in the winter. Basically, it's a reef, it's structure, but I'm not up on the reef. Basically, I'm on that last contour line of the reef where the reef comes into the mud. That's where I'm fishing, and we'll look at it right here maybe. I can get it to work. It's not going to work. So basically, there we go. It's that last contour line on the reef where it hits, and all around the edge of the reef. You can see on the top side of this reef I'm showing you right here, it's real steep, and I don't generally fish that steep of a contour break on these reefs. I fish more of where the arrows are on that shallower, you know, they're more gradual, the more gradual part where there's that nice transition, and those fish love to cruise that transition. And that's where we're fishing right now, and that's also where I was fishing earlier, and a lot of nice eaters coming out of that kind of stuff. I do know a lot of people are fishing out in the mud, and if you can get out in the mud away from the people, I know that's been good too. You know, the trick, like I said earlier, is really just getting away from the people. If you're gonna sit in a big group of people, it doesn't go that well right now on Lake of the Woods. What do you guys got for questions? Go ahead and throw some out there and I'll answer them for you. Anybody coming up to Lake of the Woods soon? Joshua, Sleeper House. All right, man. Joshua, he's our winner from last live, and he's going to be coming up Arneson's Rocky Point. He won a fishing trip. He's actually going to be coming and staying in a sleeper house, so that's awesome. Make sure you let me know when you're coming up here, Joshua. If I'm around, I'll hang out with you for a little bit. So the bait I have on right now, I'll show you what I got going here. Basically, large size quiver spoon, like I always say. There it is right there, pink. I'm using a full minnow. The reason I'm using a full minnow is there's tons of little walleyes, tons of little saugers down here, and I'm using a big bait to try to weed out those little ones. Those little ones aren't as apt to bite that big minnow on there, so I am using a full-size minnow. If I wanted to seal the deal with some more of those smaller fish, what I would do is I would just go with a minnow head. But I've been trying to kind of weed those out. I don't need to catch a ton of those. So like I said, pink glow spoon on this one, and then I have the rattling quiver spoon on this one. Using the rattle baits just to call these in, since I am kind of fishing next to a large basin. I want these fish, these roamers, they're just roaming around is what they're doing. I don't want them to come in and bite. How are the ice conditions and snow depth, Matt Mingus? Ice conditions are great. We got probably, I'm going to say 18 to 20 inches of ice I'm sitting on right now. There is quite a bit of snow, and the snow has drifted and turned hard, so it's pretty rough driving out here. There's a little bit of slush here and there, but on Lake of the Woods anyways, the slush isn't terrible right now. Not to say that won't change when it gets warm and we get some cracks and that water starts coming up, but right now the ice conditions are great, other than it being a little bit rough driving out here. You got to go pretty slow because of the big drifts. The fish right there, super lethargic. But overall, not bad. And I even noticed on some of the smaller lakes in the area, the slush is freezing up pretty nicely, so it's not too bad anywhere right now. I mean, not saying that there's not some day ender slush on some of these lakes or some of these spots, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be initially. Brad, I'm using fatheads right now. That is what I'm using. I tend to, later in the winter, I kind of go more to fatheads than shiners. They seem to like them a little bit better as the season progresses. I've seen good bites going on all over the place. I know Red Lake, Winnie, the fish are just really snapping right now, and we've had some good weather to go ice fishing. This warm weather is great. Nice fish right there on the bottom. There, he took it. Oh, missed him. See if we can jig him up again there. He might have got my minnow. And that's a situation right there where if I would have been running, he might have got my minnow. If I would have been running that minnow head, I probably would have got him because he's a smaller fish, and he bit the back of the minnow and he plucked it right off my hook. These fatheads this time of year are huge, and I do try to pick the smaller ones out of here when I'm doing it. And I'm just hooking them through the head is all I'm doing, just like that right now. They seem to like that action a lot. There's several different ways to hook them, but last week now it's been just hooking the minnow through the head like that and letting them dangle. Hooking it like that though, you will lose more fish like you just saw me do, because they will grab the back of that minnow and pluck it right off. Mark, how far from the bottom do you work your lure? I'm going to tell you right now with this, you can see the live unit up there, and you're all working your lure too close to the bottom. I can tell you that right now. And I didn't realize this till I got these live units and I could really see these fish coming in from a long way away. You can foot, 2 feet, even 2 feet, 3 feet off the bottom. You would be surprised how high you can have that bait off the bottom. And these fish from 15, 20 feet away, they will sense, see, scent, smell, and they will come in. You can just, as soon as they, usually about 15 feet is where I see them start to speed up and they can see that lure. And it always surprises me how high off the bottom I can jig, and they'll still just come cruising in. So I know that, before when I was just running standard flashers, I had my bait, 6 inches, 4 inches from the bottom all the time. I do still do that sometimes, pound the mud, stuff like that. But more often than not, jigging a little bit higher will pay off. We got some fish up high there now. This might be tulipies up there maybe. A lot, you can see right on the bottom underneath my lure. So what we're looking at there is, you can see what's moving right there. You can see my glow spoon, and then you can see the swivel above it. And then right next to it, those other 2 little dots, that is my rattling quiver and my swivel. And then we have, look like 2 fish right on the bottom, right beneath me there. Just gonna slow it down a little bit, see if I can get them to come up. What else you guys got for questions? Throw them out there. I'm going to keep an eye on that sonar this time. Last time I did one of these lives and I had the sonar going, I got tons of comments because I was missing fish because I was looking at the iPad. So the spot I'm on right now, there are resort houses on it, and I can hear the bombers going by, and it's not helping the situation at all. When we were way up north on structure up there, fishing is substantially better up there. The fish are undisturbed, and there's not as much traffic and stuff going on, so they're biting quite nicely up there. It's not cooperating here, are they? Like I said, guys, go ahead and throw some comments down there. And oh, there's one right there. Then at the end, I will, after it's all over, I'll PM a bunch of you, and I will, there, you might hit it, and I will get some glow spoons out to you. Nope, see, you can see him swim away there. Came up and smelt it, and away he went. See if he'll come back. He might come back. So that's a smaller fish right there, and I have got a big glow spoon with a big minnow, so he is not really liking it. If I downsize this to a smaller glow spoon, smaller frosty spoon, smaller quiver spoon with a minnow head on it, you would for sure see him bite. There we go. See, he's kind of, this is a little bit better fish here now. Just jigging super subtly. Josh, am I moving a lot? No, I'm actually not. We kind of just camp. We're just camping in spots waiting for these fish to come to us on the edge of the structure. We're not moving a ton. And that's kind of, once I find a good spot in Lake of the Woods that these fish are coming through, I tend to camp out quite a bit, to tell you the truth. But so next week we're headed up to Lake Winnipeg, and I will tell you, on Lake Winnipeg I move around a ton. Probably like every 20 minutes I'm moving. But that's how you get those big ones up there. But this time of year on Lake of the Woods, I set up and I just camp out and wait for them to swim by. Dale Radcliffe, the guy that makes the rods. Which rod are you running today? It's like a quiz, right? I am running the Carbon X Walleye, Dale. That's what I'm running. And for those of you that don't know, in every live this is talked about every single time. Radcliffe Custom Rods are these fancy rods I'm using. Check out the handles on them. Unbelievable rods, super sensitive, really, really nice stuff. And they will tailor these rods exactly how you want. You call Dale and Eric, Radcliffe Custom Rods, and you just tell them exactly what you want, length, handle, whatever you want, what color wraps, whatever, and they will make you whatever rod you like or want. And I do tailor these rods specifically to the bait I'm using. For example, this is a glow spoon rod right here, and you probably can't see, maybe you can see, it just has a slight bend in it, and I want that so that I can detect these up bites. So I really tailor the tip of the rod to the bait I'm using, because I want a little bit of bend in that tip just so that I can sense those up bites, because there's a lot of that going on. I think I might be jigging too aggressively. Slow her down a little bit here. What pound test is your ice braid? I've got 6-pound braid on right now, then a swivel, and then I got 6-pound fluorocarbon leader is what I have on here right now. 6, 8, 10, anywhere in there is fine. 6 is more than enough. You're not gonna break 6 off. Travis, what state are you in? Northern Minnesota, Travis, Lake of the Woods, right up on the Canadian border. I can actually see Canada from where I am sitting right now. Since we're doing this and I have a glow streak tied up, I'm just going to show you this reel, see if this will work. And so in these basins, a lot of times, these fish are just roaming around. So what you can do is, this is a glow streak, and this glow streak is not baited. I got it on a big, heavy rod. I don't know the name of the rod, Mark or Dale. You could probably help me out with that. It's just this is my big, heavy glow streak rod, and this is another Radcliffe rod. So I'll drop this down. We'll see if this will work. So basically, this bait makes a lot of commotion, and a lot of times what I'll do when I'm not seeing much is I will just rip this bait the entire time, and it will call these fish in. So you may not necessarily catch them on this bait on certain days, but what it will do is these fish are curious and they will come in. Just like that. And you can see I'm using a nice heavy rod, so I get tons of action out of that glow streak. And we'll talk about this next week when I'm on Lake Winnipeg, but you want to use the right rod, especially for these glow streaks, because you want to get that nice action. It really shoots out to the side, and if the rod is too light, all you're going to do is get a bunch of bend in the rod, and you're not going to get the proper action out of it. Give this a few rips and see if we can get some to come in here. See right there, one just came in on the bottom checking it out. A lot of times if there's bigger fish in the area too, if you rip this, they will come in and investigate, and you'll see if we can get one to come in here. What I'll do is I'll just reel up and I'll leave it, a few feet underneath the ice, and I'll go back to that glow spoon, or I'll seal the deal with that glow spoon if they, yeah, you can see them coming along the bottom there. I just realized that you're going to love this. I'm going to hand line this in because I forgot to put the reel on that glow streak rod. All right, there we go, little sauger. So when I put those in my rod case, I take the reels off, and I forgot to put the reel on that one. So Glow Streak got that one. We'll let him go. And that's a mess. I'll go back to the glow spoon. So you see what that did right there? Basically that, these fish are super, super curious. And it called them right in. And I even got another one underneath that glow spoon. So this is a good technique, especially if you are in a like a wheelhouse or a resort house and you're stuck in one spot. If you take and rip this glow streak, even get a couple guys ripping these glow streaks all day long, you will be surprised at how many fish come through compared to the next wheelhouse, resort house over that's not ripping these glow streaks. It's a super, super effective technique, and I would do it again if I could find my, see if I can find my reel handle. Here it is right here. Got it. And this is, when I go to Lake Winnipeg, I am using 100% glow streaks the whole time. Glow streak is a phenomenal bait on Lake Winnipeg. It's actually the only bait on Lake Winnipeg I use right now, and it's it's the same type of situation. Tangle there. It's calling these walleyes in from a distance because they're super, super curious, and those big greenbacks love it. On Lake Winnipeg, what I do is I actually wrap a shiner around that hook. So if you're ever worried about your bait being too big, you saw how small of a sauger I just caught on that glow streak. Yeah, Josh, my glow, I kind of tailor my, bunch of fish down there. I kind of tailor my dead stick to what I'm seeing on my sonar. If these fish are all coming in at 6 inches, 12 inches, 2 feet off the bottom, I kind of set my dead stick to where I see these fish coming in, the depth I see them coming in at. Was the morning bite better, Tim? Yes, I would say the best bite on Lake of the Woods at this moment is from, I'm gonna go 10 a.m. to about 1 p.m. is probably the best bite right now. And then you get a nice little run, 3:30, 4 o'clock to dark. You also you also get a nice little run. But you do, like right now, we're kind of in that that midday lull period, and that's that's pretty typical for Lake of the Woods. But the morning and evenings are definitely better right now. Let's see if he's gonna come eat it. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3 little saugers hanging out down there, and they're kind of intimidated by what I'm doing right now. What else you guys got for questions? Go ahead and shoot. I'm not going to go too much longer, but back to that question of Brad about the shiners and the fatheads, I'd definitely grab both, because any given day you never really know what they're going to want. Still waiting for safe ice in northern Michigan, Ron. There we go. Yeah, they're hanging out down there. So a lot of fish in the area, and I expect that right around dark, it's going to be go time. We're going to pick up quite a few right at dark, I would imagine. Seems to me that the resorts there's a lot of people up here right now. The resorts are running steady. I can hear and see bombers going around nonstop. So it's a lot of people fishing up here this winter too. Busy, busy. Does the bite slow down in March? If I had to say the bite on Lake of the Woods slowed down, I'd say you get midwinter is when, in the middle of February, you get kind of a lull in the bite. When that happens, I usually head way up in the islands and fish right on rock structure during that period. But then, once you get a little bit of melt, stuff starts going in March, and the bite does get good. And Josh, if you are planning on coming up in March and staying at Arneson's, you need to check out the pike fishing too, because the pike fishing is phenomenal. And I believe Arneson's does, they do a little bit of guiding for the pike also. So definitely maybe do a day of walleye and a day of pike, because that pike is super fun, and it's phenomenal fishing around Arneson's for pike. That's definitely something to check out. Yeah, so what I'm using there, Brian, is I have a Humminbird Helix 9 with the Mega Live transducer on it, is what you are looking at on that screen right there. Try ripping this glow streak again, see if that does it. About that one time when I forgot to put the reel on and hand lined it in. Ha! See right away, see that one came off the bottom? Big rips, just got him going right away. He's gonna eat the glow spoon is what he's gonna do. There, he ate the glow spoon. So that, what happened there is that glow streak got that fish charged up, and then he smacked that glow spoon is what he did. He wasn't quite in. Oh, that's a nice walleye too. There you go, not bad. He's gonna go back. But you can just see how that glow streak is triggering these fish to bite and also calling them in. It's a great technique. I think last or 2 lives ago, I think I played a video on how to do that. And like I said, I'm not baiting it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just ripping it for the noise. And what happened right there is that's normally what happens is they come in, I set the glow streak down, they kind of ignore it, and then they go for the glow spoon. That's very typical Lake of the Woods. And you know, you get 2-3 guys ripping one of these in a wheelhouse, and you would be surprised how many fish come in. Let's see if we can get it to happen again. So there's a fish right on the bottom there. See if we can get him revved up with the glow streak. It's a better fish down there. I'm gonna drop right on him, see if he'll jig really subtly. So I'm just barely moving that rod tip just to get those beads in that glow spoon to just make a little bit of noise. Glow streak is the dinner bell. They love that glow streak. And you know, you'll get out here some days and they'll be chomping that glow streak, and that's the funnest ice fishing you can do. You're just ripping it and they're just coming in and smacking it. And that's usually an early and a late season thing where they'll just come in and hammer it. Tim, I'm using a full minnow right now, and the reason I'm using the full minnow is I'm trying to weed out those little fish, and I'm trying to get some nicer fish. When I go to a minnow head, what happens is those a lot of the little ones will go after it, and if I use a little bigger presentation, it kind of discourages the little fish. They won't necessarily come in and take it. Let's try the glow streak again, see if it'll. I'm actually surprised that this live feed is still going out here on Lake of the Woods, because the service is not great. So hoping a nice mid-20 would come in, we could stick, but so for those of you that just joined, what I'm fishing is the edge of a reef, the transition, the last contour line where the rock hits the mud is where I'm fishing right now, and that's kind of my normal spot. Summer and winter, actually. On the boat too, I jig these transitions a lot. These fish just cruise them constantly. There, see, there one showed up on the bottom. can't rip this too hard. The harder you rip it, the better. You're not going to spook them necessarily. This is a great way to catch a pike too. The pike love the glow streaks. Thanks, Ron. It is very, very tricky to do these, actually. It's tough to get good video and good audio. It's so, so tough. You're kind of at the mercy of the service that you're getting at the moment. I imagine eventually it will cut out on me. Like I said, put some comments down there. I'm going to pick, I don't know, probably pick 15, 20 people after the live. I'll PM you and I will send you out some glow spoons, because that is what I have on this rod right here. Let's see if we can call another one in with this glow streak. This is the big glow streak. I'm using the 2.5 inch version, and it's not baited. I'm just ripping away, hoping we can get another one to come in. Like I said before, if you are in a wheelhouse, rip 2, 3 of these and watch the magic happen. It's actually quite impressive some days. Any more questions, guys? I'll log off here shortly. Yeah, Adrian's Road is good. You're right. They put a lot of work into Adrian's Road over there. Those resort owners, they're chipping it, flooding it. They really smooth it out nice. And no, it's legit. Adrian's Road is always legit. I wouldn't worry about that at all. And I know there's, I don't know what size wheelhouses or what they're letting out on Adrian's right now, but I imagine you could just check their Facebook and it would tell you. But I know wheelhouses are going out on there, and I imagine they're pretty much letting everything out on there by now. But if you check their Facebook page, it'll tell you right on there what they got going on. John, one of your favorite baits in South Dakota. That's one place I am going to go this year. I'm going to go to South Dakota for sure. The perch bite down there looks insane. John, you fish perch down there? That whole Glacial Lakes region down there just looks crazy good. Kevin, what house am I in? Otter Resort. Resort? Otter Resort. And I do love this house. The insulation is awesome. I got the, it's, I don't know, 10 degrees out right now, and I'm just going between pilot light and low on the heater. It's cooking me out of here. Insulation is super good on these things. All right, I'm not going to do her too much longer here, guys. If you have any questions, shoot, and we'll log off here shortly. Like I always say, if you are coming up to Lake of the Woods, this is where I have a cabin up here in Lake of the Woods, so I spend most of my time up here. So if you are coming up here and you have questions or anything like that about what's going on, I screwed up. He wants a glow streak. Oh, missed him. I was thinking he was going for the glow spoon, and he went for the glow streak. He's going to come back, though. Watch. So like I was saying, if you are coming up here, yeah, give me a shout, and I'll let you know what's going on, or I'll give you as much information as I can anyway. A little closer to the bottom. You see, I spooked him, and he just sat down there on the bottom. He's watching it now. That was my fault right there. I thought he was going for the glow spoon, and he turned and he hit that glow streak. Lake Thompson, South Dakota. Yeah, some of those guides down there and those snow bears, I see them. Perch bite is phenomenal. So much going on down there, it's hard to... There was a fish, he was circling underneath that glow spoon. I don't know if he caught that or not. Got a lot going on here. Yeah, Ron, the walls are dry as a bone, like dry. It's a very, very comfortable shack to sit in. Very, very comfortable. I bring so much junk with me. It does have 2 seats, but I bring so much stuff with it. I only have 1 seat right now. Got another one down there, just swam in. 2 of them actually, one following the other one. You can see him right there hugging the bottom. I think you can see him anyway, yep. All right, a few more rips. We'll log off here. Well, I got a couple anyway. So that's kind of how the bite goes during the day. You know, every, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes, you get some kind of swimming in. You pick them off here and there. Every once in a while, you'll get a nicer school of them to come in. You'll pick off a few eaters. It's kind of how the bite has been in general the last week or so up here. Like I said 100 times already, just get away from the people. That's what you need to do. If you have the means to snowmobile or whatever, I'd recommend something with tracks. I think wheels are about a no-go up here now with the snow depth. If you break through that crust, you're going to be stuck for sure. There's about 3 fish sitting on the bottom there. Just looking at it, I'm expecting one of them to come up and... Well, the one I caught earlier, that little one, that was caught on an unbaited glow streak. Just came up and smacked it. I'm not hitting the mud. Who put that quote? Tim. I'm not necessarily hitting the bottom with the glow streak, but sometimes I will, but I'm not right now. I'm just kind of ripping it about, I don't know, I'm starting 2-3 inches off the bottom and I'm ripping it up. It's going, 3-4 feet up is what I'm doing. And I'm keeping my glow spoon, these fish are on the bottom, so I'm keeping that glow spoon underneath that glow streak, because what happens, see if we can get one to do it here, is as they come in on the bottom, I can just twitch this glow spoon a little bit as I rip the glow streak, and they will hit that lower bait, which is the glow spoon, which is going to happen right now, I bet. Yep, right there. Oh, popped off. That's that full minnow again with these smaller fish. They're just grabbing the back of that minnow and it's popping off. See, it plucked me right like that. But that's exactly what I was talking about right there. I'm ripping that glow streak over the top of the glow spoon, and then as these fish come off the bottom, they are hitting the glow spoon before that glow streak that attracted them in, which is higher in the water column. And I probably would have caught that fish, or 90% chance I would have caught that fish if I would have just had a minnow head on. But he was just another little sauger, and that's not what I'm out here looking for. So that's why I'm not fishing smaller baits. I'm fishing some pretty big baits. Because anywhere or anytime you're fishing on Lake of the Woods, your odds of sticking a big fish are extremely good. Where are we at? You can see that glow spoon kind of floated over to the side on its way down there. So you can see the 2 lures on the Mega Live there, and you can see how I am ripping this glow streak right above the top of this glow spoon. There comes another one there. Oh, see, he swam away real fast when he got to that glow spoon. Spooked him. Just another little guy. Nice thing about these live units is you can tell the size of the fish very, very easily. Joshua, when do I fish for monsters? I fish for monsters all the time, Josh. Monster pike in March though, for sure. That, I'm telling you, if you've never done the pike bite up here, it is phenomenal. There's several different spots. We tip up for them, and it's super fun, and they are big. But you know, all year on Lake of the Woods, I don't care what time of the year it is, you always have a chance for a trophy walleye, always. If you go on, just for example, go on the Arneson's Facebook page and just like scroll through there, and you'll see several 29, 30-inch walleyes that have already been caught this winter up here, just right out of their resort houses. So, I mean, anytime you have a line in the water in Lake of the Woods, there is a legit chance for a trophy walleye for sure. Another fish laying. He's hard to see right now on that mega live, but he's laying right on the bottom underneath that bait. A few more ribs here before, oh, oh, look at that one. See how fast that fish was? He was staring at something and I spooked him. So I can get him to come back. Another thing is, if there's anything you guys want to see me fish, or anywhere you want to see me go or see me do or learn about or anything like that, make sure you message me and let me know. I'd love to go. I'm for sure going to Devil's Lake, for sure going to Lake Winnipeg. Anywhere else you guys want to see me fish, I would more than happy to go anywhere. I love traveling around fishing. So 2 fish down there on the bottom. They just look like little lumps. They're just hugging, sitting right on that bottom, a little bit lethargic. I imagine this spot at about 4 o'clock, it's going to light up all these fish that are just hanging out. They are going to start snapping. Tim, you were here for New Year's. Awesome. You can see that fish sitting right. See, I spooked him there when I... So let's try to seal the deal with that fish. Here he comes. Just gonna super subtle. He's just another little one is what he is. See him swimming there? Not quite sure about what's going on. So if I just move that rod tip like that, it just engages those beads enough. Nope, see, spooked him. And this is what I've talked about before about reading these fish. You can see that fish, a lot of these fish, they do not like that glow spoon when I chatter it like that. Comes another one off the bottom. It's right on. I'm just going to hold it still and see if he hits it. Oh, swam away again. You can see him going back down to the bottom there. You guys can see that, right? I'll go to full screen on this so you can like see it. Maybe I will. There. There, now you can kind of see exactly what's going on there. See that fish right under my bait. I'm going to get super subtle with the jigging here and see if we can get him to snap. Yeah, he's just hanging out down there, not having it. And this is, you know, midday lull right now, so this is pretty typical. Let's rip the glow streak again. I'm tangled there. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, I'm going to log off here in a minute. Another fish just came in. I wish a sturgeon would swim by. You should see the sturgeon on this Mega Live when they go by. It's unbelievable what they look like on there. Oh yeah, do you like that view better, huh, Tim? All right, we can do that. Burbot, yes, you will pick up burbot. Burbot like to bite at night too. You'll probably get more burbot at night than you will during the day, but you will for sure catch burbot up here. There, he's right on my spoon. I'm just going to hold it still. Try that other view. Came up and sniffed it. Wonder if we lost the minnow maybe. Oh, no, there he is. Nope. Check my minnow, make sure it's still on there. We may have lost it from my jig. Nope, still there. We'll drop her back down. And the burbot up here are massive. And if you've never tried a burbot, you should definitely eat one and give it a whirl. Bunch of fish on the bottom. They're just sitting right on the bottom. You see that one creeping in right there? There he comes. There he's committing. Right on it. There, I got him. That's a better fish. Yeah, this is a better walleye right here. Come on, buddy. Now you can see how he tilted his head and he came right in. Oh, and I lost him right at the hole. No way. Shoot. What happened there is I bumped his head right on the hole as he was coming up. I was reeling just a hair too fast and he popped off on me. That was probably a 20-inch walleye, I suppose. Drop her back down. Still some more down there. They're just hanging out on the bottom. No. Yeah, that was a decent fish right there. I don't think it was mid-20s, but I think it was probably 21, 22 inches. I would imagine. Yeah, when he's coming up, he hit his. I could feel it. He came up at kind of an angle and he hit his head right on the bottom of the ice and the hook popped. That's what happened there. We'll get another one. They're down there. See him just sitting right on the bottom. That fish probably had to go back. He was definitely bigger than 19 and a half. You can hear my drag going a little bit when I set it on him. See if one of these guys down here will. Another thing is whenever I come out here, my go-to, I always start with the rattling quiver spoon is what I start with because it's kind of a middle of the road bait. And then, I read the mood of the fish and I kind of go from there. I saw, some of these fish like that last nice one that came in there, you could see how he just shot towards the bait. And I saw these fish doing that when I first got here. So that's why I am actively jigging the pink glow spoon, just because of the mood of the fish and what they were doing when I first got here. Normally, 90% of the time I will have a frosty spoon as my dead stick, but there's so many little fish down there that I'm using that rattling quiver. There's another decent fish right on the bottom there, just creeping in right on the bottom. We have all done it. Especially live, right? What the heck? I can't believe I lost it. Two of them just hanging out on the bottom. I'll just get super subtle with it right above their head and see if we can get them to commit. And when they're on the bottom like that, it's hard to tell how big they are. A lot of times they'll creep in on that bottom and they get substantially bigger when they come up to bite it. See him hopefully you guys can see that hanging on the bottom. Tim, I tie direct the majority of the time. I think there are times where a snap swivel or a snap is a good idea if you're switching lures a lot. And a lot of times those snaps will give they'll give your bait a totally different action a lot of times too, especially with spoons. So there are situations that I do use a snap on there. Snaps, I mean, I don't think a snap ever hurts you. Just my preference is most of the time I am just tying direct is what I'm doing. Now I feel like I have to stay and catch a big one. Ha! It's kind of a mission now. Thanks, Brad. Yeah, Dave. I know what you're saying. Just like that, free fall that spoon and then just stop it right there. And that's part of the deal. I mean, you need to figure out. There's a fish coming in high right there. You need to figure out what jigging cadence these fish. What's triggering them. And this jigging, you think you got to figure it out, and then 5 minutes later, they're reacting to a totally different jigging cadence. It constantly changes throughout the day, so you really got to change it up all the time. That's a good point, how free falling that spoon, because a lot of times they do like that. The glow spoon, the free fall, maybe not as much, but the quiver spoon is a phenomenal spoon to free fall, especially the rattling quiver spoon too, because the rattle chamber in that rattling quiver spoon is round, so no matter which way that spoon flips or quivers, it's making noise with that round rattle chamber constantly all the way down. That's a phenomenal spoon to just let free fall. Another cool thing with that quiver spoon is if you start free falling that thing at in 30 feet of water and start free falling onto the ice, I mean, it'll, no kidding, on this live, it'll drift 15 feet off to the side. You'll lose it on the sonar, it'll go so far. And then you can kind of pop it and it'll kind of just walk its way back in. There's one sitting right underneath that glow spoon right now. I actually can't believe this feed is still going with this service out here. So like I said at the end of this, everybody watch your messenger. Send you guys out a bunch of glow spoons. You can give them a try. Crappie fishing, bluegill, walleye. Glow spoons are phenomenal bait for any of those species. Yeah, they're down there just hanging out on the bottom now. There we go. He might commit here. See how he kind of just came up just a hair off that bottom. We'll see if we can get him to. Nope. I don't even know what time it is, but any other questions you guys got for me? So when they come in is when I'm looking at this screen all the time. Jared, you're coming in March, man. That's a phenomenal time to come. Love early ice right now, or earlier in the year, early January is phenomenal, and then it gets really good in March too, especially with the multi-species stuff. There he is right there. Came up and then he swam away. See, and you can see he's hanging like 9 feet over to the left, just hanging there watching it. You're welcome, Eric. There we go. That's a decent fish there. This is redemption right here. Watch. There, he's on it. See, he's got it. Oh, missed him. Come on. Grabbing the back of that minnow is what they're doing. And you can see how I felt him on there, and then I kind of waited for him to choke up on that minnow, but obviously I didn't wait long enough because he still popped off. No, we don't ever use rosy reds up here. No, never. I don't anyway. Got me thinking about a hummingbird now, Tim. And that's, that's the question everybody always asks, the hummingbird versus the Garmin. And the more I use this hummingbird, the more I like it. There are advantages to both units. Is the Garmin, there's a bigger fish up high there. Is the, that might be a pike actually. You guys might be in for a show if he bites. Sure, the Garmin is a lot clearer unit and it's got, more detail, but the hummingbird has a lot less going on. That's actually just a little school of fish is what that is, some tullaby or bait. Garmin's got a lot going on with that black box on the back. It's a heavy unit. It eats batteries. I think the thing about this hummingbird is it's lighter, and the battery life on this thing, that's something I've been noticing because it's just a transducer you're plugging into a Helix unit. So if you have a regular Helix ice unit that's compatible with the Mega Live, you can just plug that, plug it right in, and you have Mega Live. It's super cool. And the battery life, I'm going to actually do a test and see how long this battery will go, because I've got 2 solid days of fishing out of it, and I'm thinking I can go a couple more days, no problem. Because I believe I have like a 30 amp hour battery in this shuttle, and it's a lot. That's a lot of battery for that Helix. And as you can see, this screen on the Live doesn't do the hummingbird justice. It doesn't show the colors right like it should. I mean, you can still tell what's going on. I can tell you that in person, it is a lot. It's very clear in person. I don't like how it looks on the screen right now, but and the mapping, you can't beat the mapping on a hummingbird ever. The mapping is phenomenal. That's another advantage to the hummingbird. And if you're using the Helix unit, you could put the regular ice deucer on it, and you can run it in flasher mode too. Flasher mode, graph mode, Mega Live. It does a lot. It's a good unit. I don't think, there we go. I don't think it gets enough credit, the hummingbird. There we go. Sauger. Glow spoon. And he just, popped right out of there. We're going to let him go. Like I said, I don't think the hummingbird gets enough credit, and the more I like it, the more I use it, the more I really do like the hummingbird Mega Live. And the shuttle I have it on, this, I do like this fin gear shuttle also that I have it on. It's very very robust. I tend to break everything I own, and the fin gear shuttle has made it 2 years now, so there's something to be said about that for sure. Got fish waiting for me right on the bottom. You see how he's kind of hovering off the bottom, so he's active. So watch this. I would bet that the second he sees it, he's going to commit. See him hanging down there? There's his buddy. His little buddy. Really little buddy. See, he upbit it there is what he did. This, popped off. That was a tiny, tiny fish. That minnow, he couldn't even get in his mouth, I bet is what happened there. I want his buddy to eat. His buddy looks a little bit bigger. One thing I can promise you is that on one of these lives, I will eventually stick a big one. It is only a matter of time before the stars align. He's just hanging there. I'll see if I can just subtly Subtly jig him and get him to come up. Try the chase. Nope. So, a fish like that, lethargic, just sitting there staring at it, he's a prime candidate for a smaller quiver, frosty spoon with a minnow head on it. He would commit is what he would do. Seeing mishaps helps us all. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it, man. And that being said, with that bigger fish I caught, what I should have been doing, I should have had my rod tip closer to the hole. As soon as I saw that swivel, because that swivel is kind of my indicator that the fish is at the bottom of the ice, and I should have just eased him up once I saw that swivel is what I did. I was just reeling a hair too fast is what happened. I slammed him on the bottom of that ice. Look at this guy just, oh, there. See, he turned up at it. Nope. He touched it, but he didn't commit. Where he went. Now he's back down on the bottom there now. There he comes. There he comes right at it. Stop short. There's his bigger buddy. He'll hit it. You get it. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Oh. And he fell back down the hole. Gone. Popped off right as I pulled him out. He wasn't that big anyway. Probably 14, 15 is what he was. All right, we're gonna jig one more fish and I'm logging off. That's it. Last chance for questions. And then I am out. Once I'm all set up, I'll probably just fish this spot out because I think these fish are gonna get bitey right at 4 o'clock. Nate, you don't have to leave, man. That's how it goes with these smaller fish. They're not committing and hailing the baits. They're just, there we go. That might be a nicer fish. See, that's what they're doing. It's a little bit nicer fish. Yes, wow. We want to catch that one is what we want. See if he'll come back. So that fish right there, I would imagine is, 18, 19 inches. And he was able, you could see my rod tip there, to just peck at the back of that minnow. That's the kind of bite we're dealing with here. And when they're biting like that, it is pretty tough to hook them, and that is why I am losing them. Because they're not just coming in and crushing this bait and just, I'm not getting all the hooks in them is what's going on. That was a nice, you could actually see him turn and everything there. That was a nicer fish. Here's what's going to happen. The second I log off here, I'm going to stick like a 25. You watch. Really want to get a good one. Because it will happen. All right. I am going to call it. Thank everybody for watching. Thank you for all the comments and questions I get after, I get asked after. I try to answer them all. I just get so many. It's a full-time job answering your questions, and I hope that I'm helping you guys catch more fish. Next week, we are, what pound test are you using? 8 pound? 6 pound actually, 6. No, Tim, I don't worry about the smell of my hands. Anyway, I'm logging off. That's what I'm doing right now. Thank you for watching. Next week, we're going to Lake Winnipeg. I'm going to give you a full breakdown on how I approach Lake Winnipeg. I'll talk about the accesses. I'll talk about how I move, when I move, how far I move. We'll talk about all that, baits. We'll talk about the whole thing. So if any of you guys like Lake Winnipeg and you want to learn about Lake Winnipeg, I've been going up there since the beginning, 15, 20 years. I've been fishing it. So I got a pretty good program, pretty dialed in up there, and I expect we're going to get some big greenbacks up there. I really expect that. So tune in next week. I don't know what day the live will be for sure. I'll try to give you guys a heads up if I can. We'll just see how the bite goes and how the fishing is. I don't know if I'll probably won't be able to go live from the ice up there just because the service is so bad. I might do it from the hotel or something like that. But once again, thank you for watching, everybody. Watch your PMs. There's some glow spoons coming your way. I'm going to catch this fish right after I log off. Have a good day, everybody.